So, hey guys. I've, as always, I've been thinking, what is the best way to beat Tearlament? Or maybe, like, Exorcist or whatever. So, after much thinking, I came to one realization. I've always been considering going first and second, and that's why it's been so hard to make a list. Like, I considered stuff like Magispector, Quakey Mirror Doom, but although those ideas are not without their own merits, what if we just said, fuck it, you know? What if we just said, maybe it doesn't really matter. We don't need to think about going first and second. If we lose the coin flip, we can choose to go, well, we'll end up going second. If we win the coin flip, we can choose to go second. So wouldn't the strategy be just to play a going second deck that specifically just, well, shits on tier? I think that might be a decent strategy. It might be a good idea even. So some ideas I have include, like, we can just summon Baguska in defense. This doesn't start a chain, so it can't really be negated. So if you just summon Baguska, this is kind of like dropping down like a skill drain kind of thing, on your opponent, because none of their link monsters are actually relevant in face of Baguska. So not an entirely bad idea. It has its merits, of course, but there's also the idea of if we use any graveyard effects, we'll probably get Dwellered, and then we won't be able to do anything. We won't be able to accomplish anything. So, that's rough. So, with that in mind, there's consideration of something like a sphere mode, but they won't necessarily summon enough, necessarily, and we will run hand traps, like, probably. Unless we fully commit to going second, but they can't FTK, so we can commit to going fully second. So sphere mode, not bad. But Lava Golem doesn't have the same risk of, if the tier player is just so shit, they actually end up with 2 monsters on their end board, and we just can't do anything. We just have a dead sphere mode, just to play around our opponent not being good at Yu-Gi-Oh, Maybe Lava Golem is the play, Those tier players that just chain all of their tier monster effects when they immediately hit the graveyard and end on, like, nothing. Yeah. Those guys, we gotta play Lava Golem for them, unfortunately. But, let's see. This also allows us to do some gnarly stuff. So, if we play going second specifically, though, we want to also abuse inherent summons, because Rule Kalos specifically negates a monster, or not just a monster actually, it's just a card that includes an effect that special summons. Inherent summons are not effects and therefore cannot be negated. So Pankratops, for example, pretty solid. So the only issue of Pankratops is, let me think, what is the issue with Pankratops? Absolutely nothing. Pankratops is amazing. I guess, right? Our opponent will probably control 1 monster at least, right? And Pankratops doesn't require a normal summon. So because we're playing Lava Golem, we all immediately don't want to use any strategies that will use a normal summon. So that restrains us a bit, but Lava Golem is a strong card, so we can probably pull through. So there's also the idea of Neuron Network. The idea behind Neuron Network is pretty obvious. You don't actually... well, you just activate Neuron Network, you summon the gates, you do some attacking, and then you win the game. So let's see, what is the issue with this? For cost, you have to send to the graveyard. So that means we cannot play Dimension Shifter. And this does not matter. Does it send for cost? No, it tributes. So it's fine. So if we play a shifter, we're actually fine like this. So now we want something that can probably play without the graveyard. Something that was kind of like Numa, but we don't want to give up on shifter, because shifter is pretty strong against Tearlaments. There's like no effects they can resolve without suffering once Shifter is activated. So we'll think on that in a bit. So Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Bloss, since we're going second. Ash Blossom always solid. Just in general. And then Gamma is also fairly powerful going second card, of course. But if our opponent's playing specifically Tearlament, then nah, I guess we can't really make that pan out, can we? So 3 of Crow then is probably better. And then Infinite Impermanence. Imperm not being able to be hit by the Called By. So also not really hard once per turn. So let's look at this and think. Ash Blossom, Joy Spring, Beauty Crow, Infinite Impermanence. Not bad. These are some pretty gnarly cards. And if you want, I guess you can throw in copies of Maxi, like so. So about half of our deck is just hand traps, generic staples, so the rest should mostly be engine. If we have a compact engine that can just kind of kill under Shifter, that would be really good. Now, what engine can do that? There is one that can do this, but the issue with this is pretty funky. So if we use, for example, Dangers, we need to get really good hits on our Dangers or we're cooked, just straight up. Well, let's see. While we're at it, though, throw in one of Raigeki. Raigeki's always solid, and then Lightning Storm. 1. You know? And now we have 18 cards left for, like, Engine. So I don't think we can feasibly make Bagooska anymore, considering we don't have room to fit an engine that can probably summon Bagooska, in my opinion. If we can, I'll put it back, I suppose. It's fine. So now we look at this, and we have to consider what can we do here to cause our opponent the highest quantity of suffering. So of course we lose our normal summon privileges with Lava Golem, which is a bit rough. It would have been the same with Sphere Mode, so we'll have to figure something out. So of course step 1, we want to be able to play through a Shifter. But we are not locked out of special summoning ourselves. Yeah, so we're only locked out of normal summon, so an engine like Branded might be semi-okay, but the issue with Branded is, of course, they do much better not under Shifter. Like, you could summon stuff under Shifter, but stuff doesn't really go that hard, you know? So, rough. So, if we were to, for example, go with Sprite, I guess. Sprite might barely be able to pull off running this list of generics, actually. The thing about Sprite is the engine is pretty compact, and we can run copies of Ready Fusion, not Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion's going to be banned, if it isn't already. So, yeah. This might do the trick. Pancratops is a 7, so let's see. This also dodges Soleek, which is great. But, of course, now that I'm thinking more about Pancratops, if you pop any of their cards, it's awful. Because that will trigger their effects. So, Pank, maybe not the best, actually. It's kind of tragic. And I don't want to play evenly matched, exactly, because I want to kill them just immediately off rip. So, more considerations need to be made, I suppose. If we go Sprite, though, with... What else can we run with Sprite? Are there 2s I can just pull out of my ass? Nah, I don't think so. If there were, though, that could be a play. Sprite will not be able to, like, kill on the turn of. But now that I think about it, all we need to do to successfully like this will likely get us the win is just make Zeus. Yeah, that'll probably do it. Now, if we think about it, there is this, but this does require your normal summon. So we want a way into Zeus now without, you know. So we can still run the extra deck Zeus though. So we will do that actually. Let me count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8. Okay, we can run one copy of each for now, and that will make like an 8 Mat Zeus, which is just stupid. So we can access this by going into Chakanine and then just climbing through all of these. And if we need to, we can use the Trident Pop, and then whatever, keep climbing. Divine Arsenal, Zeus. You know? We can also use Borbo to hit directly, so we can do battle if we actually need to. So, not bad, all things considered. We just need 2 fours, so that's fine. And to help with that, Parallel Exceed should be able to do the job. So now we just need to be able to link summon something. So to do that, we'll probably need to special summon something. So just whatever will do, right? Lady Debug, maybe? What will Debug do? Adds a level 3 or lower Cyber's monster from your deck to your hand. Maybe not. Remote Skipper? Format is a 1 card. So we can go ahead and normal summon for mud or whatever, right? And then we can add copy of Parallel Exceed if we want. If we have 2, I guess we don't do it, and then we can go ahead and make a link monster, probably a link 1 like Lingriba, I guess. So like Lingriba, and then I do some attacking. Not completely bad, except for the fact that we're running Lava Golem here. Kinda conflicts. If we just 1 for 1'd it, it would be okay, but 1 for 1 will not work because well, let's go here. Where's 1 for 1? I have a bunch of weird stuff here. 1 for 1 sends 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard for the toss, but with Shifter, that's not gonna happen. So let's see. I like where Parallel Exceed is at. So what we can do actually is there's some RNG, but there is always this option actually. We can just danger our way through. Danger effects actually all resolve fairly standard under Shifter. The only issue with playing dangers is if they get hit, right? They activate in the graveyard, and then Abyss Dweller can like prevent the cards from activating, so not the best in that regard, but this could potentially do something. It's not like absolutely nothing, so But the fact that we're locking ourselves out of normal summoning, I think probably is what will make this really weird and hard to think of, you know? What can we do to really either give us significant advantage or just win the game? Gizmek Orochi and some dangers. That's pretty RNG heavy, but Gizmek Orochi is not bad actually. It might be the play to just go Gizmek Orochi. I don't think we care about our main deck if we banish anything from it, but we do run copies of Parallel Exceed, so that's a little rough in that regard, but if we play 8s, there's also the 8 the rank 8 Zeus engine. So we can do that as well. So that gives us some more stuff to work with. So alright, let's do it. Let's keep it nice and simple and clean. Maybe we can optimize this further later, but for now I think this is okay. Something like this. 8s, 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 8s. These are all dark monsters, which is unfortunate, I suppose, to an extent, but what can you do? So then, in case we are forced to go first, I guess we can go Babushka, and then we just want like a link to, we can make generic link. So IP Masquerena is decent. And then throw in Unicorn for the generic removal in case we ever need a unicorn, you know? So far, so good. If we don't care about Ash Blossom, though, actually, we could go Effect Veiler instead, but Ash Blossom also works against control decks in case we face them, but if we do not care about that, I guess there is more room, you know, more stuff we can do. But anyway, let's go ahead and Pain Gainer. 7 Sins. Lancelot. I can't spell. Lancelot. And that's pretty solid for an extra deck lineup, I think. And let's see, am I missing anything important? Something came to mind for a second, but I forgot. Oh yeah. Nimron Dragon. And then we'll throw in copy of Draglubia. And then we'll Harbinger. And this can feasibly give us, or put our opponent into lethal range, or we can just, yeah, whatever. Put them into lethal range, or just lethal them straight up. Okay, so now with this, we still have quite some space. So I won't really be able to craft these just yet, but Dark Hole is actually not bad. Even something like this would not be that bad. Duster. And then another 8 we can summon would be good. So Astral Prebo. That will help us out a bit, and this list going second, I think it should just beat tier like pretty hard. Maybe we can adjust this list to fit in sphere mode instead, actually, though. If we don't care so much about like a Dark Hole like this, maybe we can fit in 2 copies of sphere mode like this. And this should be pretty nasty. Let's check. So our hand is Lava Golem, Danger Bigfoot, Lightning Storm, Max C. We can feasibly get 1 Max E draw at least, so if we get good hits, we should have lethal here. So the thing I dislike about this is the RNG aspect of the dangers that we will surely face now, but this deck is just going to be pretty brutal to deal with here. And if we summon any 2 bodies, we can of course go IP, and then summon Parallel Exceed. Parallel Exceed can then go ahead and start going into our Zodiac package to make the Big Zeus, or we can just use it to simply make Babushka, and we can just call it a day on that. So I think this list should fare pretty well against tier. Notably because Shifter activating, actually, we're fine with Shifter. We can totally play under Shifter. It does not hinder our deck in the slightest. Nibiru doesn't really work though. I wonder if there is another counter card that I am not thinking of super hard right now, but Bro is pretty good. And if we get Mildon, it shouldn't matter too much. Should be pretty hard to deal with. If we pop off, I suppose. But I just remembered. Alpha, the Master of Beasts. If we put this in, this can alleviate some of the RNG, and we don't need Ogopogo anymore. Okay, we're a little bit better. We won't really... I don't really think we need to run, like, Kaijus, because we don't care about our normal summon here. Our intent is just to brutalize our opponent. But the issue with running Alpha is our going first is a little weaker. We are forced to go first, I suppose, because Alpha absolutely cannot resolve, whereas Ogopogo could have. So that's a little weird. Aside from that, I think this is where we're going to stop for today. Yeah. So I think this deck is built pretty efficiently, I guess. But we could also put in more copies of Astral Kribo, because Lancelot is also a number. So it's fairly worthwhile doing. But the zoos are not, so it's a bit awkward. So, if we go second, we always get a draw, so, of course. Let's see, Astral Kribo, Lava Golem, Dark Gold, DD Crow. Well, not the best hand there. Dimension Shifter, Pillow Exceed, Danger Bigfoot, DD Crow, Danger Thunderbird. Draw 1, Maxi. So in this case, we still have our normal summon retained. If Shifter is resolved, we can always do like normal summon DD Crow. And then we just have to get one special summon, and then we can do the Zodiac thing, and just XYZ on top of Zodiac on top of Zodiac on top of Zodiac, and then go into a big Zeus. The only issue is if they have an out for Zeus, I suppose. But as a list, I think this one will do fairly okay. Probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10, I'd say, this list, but not quite where I want it to be. There's consistency issues, and that's a problem. I suppose you might be able to fix that by just ramming some draw power in there, like, boom, throw in 3 Desires. And then maybe that'll fix it. And boom. Yeah. And we can Lava Golem twice, because Lava Golem is not hard once per turn. Whereas like a Sphere mode would kind of be hard once per turn, in the sense that you couldn't do it twice in the same turn, I guess. Well, not in a reasonable way, if you ask me. Yeah, this is a good hand. This is like alright as well. A lot of these hands will probably be good, because like, all of these are good cards, but I have doubts about the consistency of this list to an extent, but doesn't seem like completely awful. But I mean, personally, I don't really want to build it because I have 420 URs, and this would drop me down to negative 150. I mean, I have enough SR for it though, at least. Well, let's see. I can pull for these, and I can pull for these. That's about it. You can't pull for Zeus either, so. A little bit expensive, but it looks like it should get the job done. So, don't particularly see an issue with this. This is not an inherent summon, though, so maybe that's not the best. There's no real easy way to trade with Rukelos that I can think of. I mean, we have copies of Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Dark Pole. So, this is pretty good where it's at. So, we'll leave it at that, and yeah. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.